I'll ask our councilman, Dr. Sonny Proctor, do you see that we have a quorum present, Dr. Proctor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have a quorum.
Quorum present, I now declare this meeting open. And Mr. Lonnie Waters, if you will, please lead us in the invocation.
Lord, we just recognized 9/11. We ask you to please be with all those families. Lord, just be with all first responders all across the country, our doctors, nurses, firemen, police, ambulance drivers. Just watch over every one of them. Lord, we ask you, as we constantly do, to watch over our mayor, council, our administration, and city employees who's trying to do the best they can for the city. And Lord, we just ask you for these blessings and favors in your name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Clerk Bradford, this is our pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I'll ask our city attorney a technical question here. Since our deputy director and our clerk is out tonight, should we appoint by vote Brandon to serve as clerk for us tonight?
There's a statute that basically provides that if the city clerk is out, that the city manager can perform the duties of clerk. So it's not necessary that y'all appoint him. I don't have a problem if you want to appoint him, but it's within his authority under the statute.
City manager, you will serve. Thank you, sir. Council, you have in front of you our agenda. And before we start with that, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We do have a lot of work that we're going to be going through. Some of that we will press through pretty quickly. At some point, we will go into executive session to discuss personnel. And when we do that, we will be there for a while. So that's later on. We will clear out as much as we can, but once we do, you're welcome to hang around outside. But I will give you a heads up that we're going to be here for a good hour plus. All right, that being said, council, in front of you, you have your agenda, and I would entertain a motion at this time that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt as presented. Any discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion carries. The agenda is adopted. Council, also in front of you, and you have the approved minutes from the July 29, 2021 work session, the public hearing on August the 2nd of 2021, and our regular council meeting on August the 20th of 2021, our special call meeting. So at this point, I would entertain a motion from council that those minutes be approved.
Motion to approve is presented.
And a second, please.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the minutes are approved. The next item we have on our agenda is a presentation from the Veterans Memorial. Frank Leist. Frank, will you come forward, please?
Mayor and City Council, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It's a privilege and an honor to be with you. A little background a little bit. We're of course picking Veterans Memorial Park. If it wasn't for this city, that Veterans Memorial Park would not be there today. Your predecessor, mayor before, was definitely hard charged about making it happen. There are things that were done throughout these last 3 years since we had the dedication that people have supported that Veterans Memorial Park. If you're not aware, we have bricks of honor out there. We presently have 884 bricks of honor out there. And that's all veterans throughout the United States, anywhere that you have. We got bricks from Minnesota, we got bricks from Alaska, bricks from North Carolina. So we thank you. I'd like to introduce, if I can, the leadership of Veterans Memorial Park if I can. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I'll make it quick. We have Ron Wheeler, our president for Veterans Memorial Park. We have our vice president, Larry Brown, who's sitting back there. We have our secretary, Jim Elrod. And I know you probably heard about some rumors about phase 2. We're not here to present that today. We're hoping to finalize and get some final documentations. We have a surveyor and we have an architect, and we will come back and present that to you at the right time for phase 2, because we're phase 1 right now. We have Brian, who's our project manager for phase 2 when that comes. Why am I here? Because this city loves veterans. As you're well aware, there are 3,000 veterans in Pickens County. I can't point them all out to you, but I can probably find 150 to 200 that we've been very fortunate to have in this community. I see one in front of me, the mayor himself. I see others that have been around. So it's important. I talked to Jim Loney just a few minutes ago, thanked him again for what he's done to help us out with that memorial. So talking about that and helping us out, we've had a lot of people help out. And what we'd like to do today, we had come to this council meeting and asked that Siegel Drive be changed to Pickens Veterans Memorial Boulevard, and asked that that be done. The council unanimously approved that, thanks to the council. However, it was one man that actually took it one more level than just putting a sign out there that says Pickens Veterans Memorial Boulevard. The man, Brandon Douglas, the city manager, took it to another level for us. He had put a sign out there that says Pickens Veterans Park. He put directional signs on both ends of the street to reflect Pickens Veterans Memorial Park. So we really know that that is our park, the Veterans Park for this town, in this county. So it's real. The other thing he's done, anytime we needed something, maintenance-wise or something that came up, I always go into Lonnie if I could. If I couldn't find Lonnie, Brandon would give a note. And I said, Brandon, can you fix this pothole that was out here in the parking lot before somebody breaks a tire? It was done several days later. So we'd like to recognize, Brandon, if I have you up here, please. We'd like to present to you a certificate of appreciation from the Veterans Memorial Park for the things that you've done for Veterans Memorial Park. And you're surely going to be missed. We know it wouldn't be, it is today, without you in your heart and soul that you would. So if I can.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
And what suitable recognition that was. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate everything that y'all do in our community. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Brandon, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, item 7, old business. Update on the sidewalk project, and we're going to ask Brandon Douglas and Lonnie Waters if they will bring this to us, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to talk about that because I will get emotional, but I do appreciate it. I know Frank's left, but like you said, Lonnie and the team are really the ones that should be recognized. I just get the privilege of sitting up here and talking to y'all, and it's not about me, but I certainly appreciate it. With that, I didn't want to just kind of put this back on y'all's radar and for the community to know that you may recall we had identified the sidewalk project in 2 components to try to make sure that we were good stewards of the money. We wanted to do the first phase, if you will, would be kind of a repair replacement. Lonnie and Adam have done a phenomenal job in identifying some areas that instead of just totally upending the entire rights of way and tearing out all the sidewalk, good and bad, just to kind of try to, rifle approach instead of the shotgun. I believe that on the preliminary drive-through with a vendor, the price that we had received was a little beyond the $25,000 threshold. I was going to joke about it and ask Lonnie, it wasn't but a couple of $100,000 more than the 25, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that tonight. But that's about consistent in terms of labor costs. We do want any interested vendor to do demo, haul away. We kind of want a turnkey approach, so it will be costly, but we do have sufficient funds in the 2014 SPLOST that Lonnie's kind of been chomping at the bits to get. I'm not sure how many applicants or interested bidders we have as of today, but Lonnie, if you have anything to add to that, I think it's Thursday that they have to be in, correct?
I think the date was
I think the 9th.
the 29th.
Or the 29th? Regardless, it will be on y'all's agenda for October 4th, because we are carrying a sizable balance that even if it were to be more than the 25,000, which is the threshold for sealed bids, we are in compliance with our own purchasing policy.
Bids will be open September the 29th.
29th.
Okay. So under item B of this, consideration and approval of cost proposal for North Main Sidewalk from TK Consulting Engineers LLC for the survey and concept design, construction drawings, along with construction management of $41,250 with a not to exceed $50,000 from 2014 SPLOST funds. And we'll also ask Brendan to give us an update on that particular engineering cost.
Yes, sir. This is one of those that the first phase, if you will, was to repair and replace existing, take care of what we've got first before we go and install new. That was the direction that staff had received. Part of Lonnie and I going out to take a look at from the Wood Bridge to the city limits, there's no sidewalk presence available. So rather than us try to engineer it, because neither one of us are qualified, we did solicit a proposal from TK Consulting. They do utilize a local surveying group. So this would consist of topographic surveying, civil design, construction drawings. So the overall actual engineering cost to design it is about $32,000. $8,900 is survey cost. So the $41,250 should be turnkey. But if for some reason they need to shoot the other side of the street and need another elevation for the surveying, we wanted to have a little discretion. Preliminarily, this looks like about a $500,000 project. Just to install new L-back curb. I don't know how much gutter we're going to get into, but at least to install some new sidewalk. It is costly. There are some challenges when you physically go out onto the site and look at. Typically, if there's not sidewalk somewhere, there's sometimes challenges associated with it. I do think that getting this design is a first step, that if we needed to phase this into 1 or 2 phases, if we're able to cost effectively implement any design from the Wood Bridge to Burton Street or wherever $200,000 or $300,000 worth of construction monies, because if we spend $300 plus on repair and replace, we would be limited with our 2014 SPLOST monies of what we would do with new. So if you recall, for the public, what we're trying to do is be good stewards of the money we have, to go ahead and try to repair and replace as much as we could, then use the remainder money to install new. And then as we move forward, identify additional funding sources to install new and continue to replace existing.
Okay, council, at this point, I entertain a motion that we approve not to exceed $50,000 from 2014 SPLOST funds for concept designs and drawings.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further questions from council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion carries. The next item on our agenda is updating our Janette project, and I know that there are a lot of people out there that want us to update the Janette product and get our Janette project and get that road open, and we want to also. So, let's see, Brandon, if you will, give us an update on that.
Yes, sir. And both the sidewalk and the Gennett Drive, you may have seen it in last week's progress. It's probably going to be run again this week, so I felt as though it was appropriate to at least keep you all up to date as well. EXP, which is the pre-qualified engineers through GDOT that have designed this bridge replacement, culvert replacement, road area repaving. It is out for bid, so we are hoping to open these on October 4th, which is the next Monday meeting in about 3 weeks. So vendors have to be pre-qualified through GDOT. That is one of the requirements of the $140,000 emergency element monies that we receive. So that is one of the reasons why it's very beneficial for us to receive these monies to help offset our costs. However, we do have a specific process that we have to follow to ensure that when it comes down to receiving those monies, we have not jeopardized or misstepped in any way and forfeit those monies. Because I can tell you, if this comes in at $200, $250, any monies we receive from GDOT at 70% or more, the $140,000 will be well served and badly needed. Just to make sure we have additional project costs at the cove that we'll still have to absorb that we may or may not be reimbursed with. The JLY project, same thing. So where we can receive reimbursement, we have been very intentional with the process. EXP has been very intentional with the process to ensure that we don't, when we submit the paperwork, we don't have a oops moment. So that's it. Hopefully October 4th you'll know the prices of what it's going to cost.
Council, any further questions?
Will GDOT want to be here for the bid opening?
I don't think so. I think as long as EXP, which will be handling the bid opening, they'll get the bid tabs and bid calculations. Yes, sir.
So Mayor, I believe this process, the public, it's been slower than what was seen previously. It's important to note that this is the proper channel to go through. This road failed in the last decade and was replaced. I'm not aware of any reimbursement process, grant process, relationship with the DOT as far as engineering being done. So I appreciate staff's effort and job on this, making sure that whatever project is completed will serve the city for a long time. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments by council? Moving along to our next item D, consideration of revising a prior authorization of the purchase of police vehicles due to a suspension of General Motors production and ceasing orders from state contract. And Major Dawkins, will you come forward, please, and present this to us?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So, we'll start off with a little update on the police department. We're almost fully staffed. We are actually looking at an application right now, which will fill that one spot we have left open, if it all works out. As you know, the 3rd, we had Jeep Fest. Everything seemed to go pretty well. As far as law enforcement standpoint, we didn't have any feedback to us from the public, but the only thing we did come across was one child went missing for a few minutes, and he was quickly located at the front of Jacob Bryant's concert. We have 2 Explorers that we, as y'all know, we have purchased already, and they're at Madden Associates getting equipped, waiting on equipment to come in. Everything's on back order, so it's just a waiting game. Once that's done, we'll be back in Jasper and put to use. Then it comes up, I think it was back in July, council y'all approved for us to go ahead and order 4 Tahoes through the state contract. Since then, Officer Lowe has worked diligently with the state contract holder, which was Hardy Chevrolet. He has stayed on top of everything. He got word that they sent the pricing to Georgia for Georgia to approve it. While they're waiting, we get a call on August 31st from Hardy Chevrolet saying that we're not getting our tires because GM cut production or cut the open time for us to order cars, for GM to Hardy to order cars to 10 days instead of about 6 months with the normal processes. We asked why, and he said it's because we didn't have approval, or Georgia didn't give the approval on the price of the car yet, or whatever price comes in. We don't even know what the price was. We're thinking about $37.5 to $38. Anyways, so we're not going to be able to get Tahoes in the state contract. Knowing this is not a City of Jasper issue. This is a statewide agency issue. I asked Officer Lowe to start calling Chevrolet dealerships, any dealership that he can, to see who was able to order vehicles during that time. Because during that 10-day period, any place can order vehicles, but it's either private Tahoes or your pursuit Tahoes. And he did find one out of, I think he called 7. He found one that was actually not a Chevrolet dealership, Ford dealership, and ordered 600 of them. He's actually going to order 600 more. 10 days cut him off. He wasn't able to even order that. So he was in a bind, but he also has Tahoes. So I guess what we're looking at is, since we can't get them from there, we're going to put our name on the list with them just in case. But we also found out that Dodge still has their state contract, has not opened up yet. And I think it opens up in about 3 weeks, give or take a week, and which leaves us to be able to maybe get Chargers and Durangos. So what we're going to propose is, as I said, we got 2 Ford Explorers. Asked to get 2 Tahoes from Brandon Ford, because that's in the immediate. We know we can get. They have them. We're going to have them and get those, and then ask if we can get 3 Dodge Durangos on the state contract through Dodge. I said 3, but after looking at it, we have right now approximately $6,000 in savings up to this point. So, looking into the future, if it's this hard next year to get cars, we're able to get an extra car, that would be great. It would take raising the exceeding amount. I think the amount not to exceed was $285,600. I'm asking it to go to $325,600. And that would give us another vehicle on top of what we got. We can use it for, we can put it to work and put another car out and make it a pool car. Because obviously these cars are going to go down, even if they're assigned. They're all going to be assigned, but they're mechanical. So one extra car is going to do us very good.
And Mr. Mayor, Council, I wanted to just chime in to thank Major Dawkins and Officer Lowe. When Matt had approached me about this situation, about 2 or 3 days later, USA Today and some other media outlets put out about the GM production halt. So I was very pleased with at least some forward thinking about, hey, can we look at what savings we have, consult with Lindsay and Finance. If there's a little bit of savings, could we creatively say, if we upped the amount of the original authority to purchase another vehicle? Now, timing is everything. And when we have conversations in May and June at the staff level, about needs. What I have to do is balance the fact that I was prepared in 2021 to purchase 1 or 2 vehicles for the police department out of 2020 SPLOST monies, based upon the way other projects go. Other projects are not necessarily drawing down the money, so therefore we have cash in the 2020 SPLOST. So what that affords us to do is say, okay, well, we can go ahead and seek permission for 6 vehicles at the July meeting, knowing that if in fact they were to be delivered the next day, I would have that cash in hand to pay for them, all the while have some cash to implement some additional projects that if we get going on those. So the one reason why the timing is not ideal, that we can't get vehicles, the timing is ideal that for every month we continue to receive a SPLOST check of about $60,000. It affords us the chance to say, if the department is able to secure 2 Tahoes from this dealership, and that will, coupled with the 2 Explorers that are about to get in service, that gives us 4 vehicles. That then allows us to get 2 Dodge vehicles that presumably will be less costly than the Tahoe, maybe a couple of $1,000s. So in my mind, if I've got $6,000 plus 2 and 2, possibly another 2, if I got a $10,000 plus savings by not buying the 2 additional Tahoes, then do I spend another $40,000 to purchase a Durango and outfit it? And now we should at that moment have an assignment of vehicles for the department plus a pool car. Because when you pull up and you always see a patrol vehicle, that means that we are in effect either hot seating or using another creative method. Now, fortunately, over the last year and a half, you all have been diligent in securing SPLOST monies to try to needle away at the fleet. So this is nothing but an ask. It's nothing but an opportunity for the department to tell y'all that, hey, this is a unique situation that we do have the money, we just don't have the vehicles. So I wanted to reinforce that. And in your packet, at the end of your report, you'll see we are carrying about a $500,000 balance in the 2020 SPLOST. So we still have monies to continue to implement some of these other parks program initiatives that we're going to be doing, all the while securing $60,000 or so a month. So if we order them and they all come in, we'll have cash. If they're delayed till...
Well, I will say this to the Dodge state contract, they will not start production until December. So nothing's gonna happen until after December, so we're looking at January, February, March, April probably before we actually get them.
Yeah. So now we could go with the original goal and shoot for the 4 Tahoes. But this was a creative solution to try to find some savings that we can leverage to get another patrol vehicle. That's it.
And there's no guarantee that we will get the Tahoes anyway.
Well,
I mean,
no,
eventually maybe, but...
what he said, he had 600 and then 150 were at that time, which was a week and a half, well, first. Yeah, 150 were already spoken for, so they're going away quick.
So council questions?
You said he had 2 available to us?
No, we just call him and say this is what we want, and
Okay.
we'll put, if he has them, like I said. I went ahead and took it upon myself, say, hey, put our names on 2 just in case. So, you know, if it went through, it's nothing saying we can't say, nope, didn't work out, but I wanted our names there.
And the reason we wanted Tahoes was because of the state contract? Or that's the size vehicle we need, or
It's an SUV, and
it's bigger
it's
than a
been,
Durango?
they've been around for a long time, and it's kind of like the Crown Vic was before.
Okay.
It's been tried and true for a long time, so.
And how many Explorers do we have?
We have, right now, we have 2, we just bought 2, so we have 4, and then we got 4 trucks.
And they are a little more expensive than the Explorer. So the reason, you know, if we put everything into just the 4x4 rear wheel light body truck, it does limit us on some options. We tried to weigh the bed down. The Explorer is not too bad, but this is an incentive tool and a recruitment tool in the competitive age of policing. Any advantage that we can try to do to demonstrate to potential applicants, the Tahoe is a more comfortable office for 12 hours for an officer.
Gotcha.
And Holly Springs was gracious enough to bring up a terrain notice, drive it, and it's nice. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, it's actually just, I think theirs is 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive, so that is Holly Springs.
So council, our consideration now is authorizing an expenditure up to $325,600 for 7 vehicles.
With the current model we were going after with the number of vehicles, that would not have allowed for one full vehicle.
Correct.
My only concern with this would be, and council I'm sure can appreciate this as far as the PD also, when we go into next year's budget, there will always be the need for more vehicles. What I do not want to do is replenish a fleet at one time and limit our capacity over the next budget cycle to continue replenishing. Ideally, you get to 3 or 4 years on a vehicle and we'd be able to do away with it. So,
The only thing right now, we're getting hot seat in the cars that we have, so we're up on mileage on cars that.
So Kurt, my idea of replacing all vehicles is at one time was coming in here, the mayor asking for 35 vehicles.
That's true.
Needless to say, we said no.
correct.
To go in debt for 35.
That's the difference. Think they didn't hold it up.
Right, I think they already have the plan, so.
Holly Springs is, I mean, they're mechanical vehicles, they're gonna have their problems, but, they seem happy with them.
The SOs
Or even the Chevrolets have their problems, Ford have their problems. Well, we're gonna, if we can get assigned vehicles, you're not gonna have the massive problems that we have all the time, you know, because it's not being run 24/7. So, but Holly Springs they're about 50-50 on them. Some of them love them because they're built like a Charger. They're on a Charger chassis. So the guys that like traffic, it's perfect for them.
I think the other thing we need to recognize is cost of vehicles for the next 2 years is going to end up.
Yeah.
So now's the time to get them, and we are not going into a debt for this. So if you're ready for a motion, I'd make a motion to increase the maximum amount to $325,000.
$600.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to increase the authorization to $325,600 for 7 vehicles. Any further discussion by council?
City Manager, Chief, thank you. Last 2 years, 3 years, it has been phenomenal with the equipment, the personnel, the department. This is one step to being a complete department. Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. The motion carries. Thank you. Under new business, council, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Cassie Rasco to the Planning and Zoning Commission before I swear her in. So,
Motion to approve Cassie Rasco.
Second.
a motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Cassie, could you come forward, please?
Lock that door so she doesn't leave.
Do not let her run whatever she does.
All right.
So I've got a couple of things that I have to read to you, and then I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things for me here.
Don't be nervous, everyone's watching.
I'm sorry?
I told her, don't be nervous, everyone's watching.
Then you're being filmed.
Okay, so if you will, please raise your right hand and say aye and state your name in full.
I, Cassie Ann Rasco,
Do swear or affirm that I will well and truly perform the duties of a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission to the best of my abilities and will take only my lawful compensation. I do further swear that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof. I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, any other state, or any foreign state, which I am prohibited from holding by the laws of the state of Georgia, and that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution and laws of Georgia, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state. Say I do.
Stephen.
Thank you so much. Now one more, if you will. Say aye and state your name in full.
I, Cassie Ann Rasco,
A citizen of the city of Jasper, Pickens County, Georgia, and being an elected official of the city of Jasper, you're not, and the recipient of public funds for services rendered as such employee, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Georgia.
I do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I gratefully appreciate you serving. Now I want to ask if you will, please, Ms. Lindsay, come up and take these, and if you will go with her, she needs your signature on a couple of places,
Okay.
and we appreciate you serving our city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Item B is consideration of request to annex into the city of Jasper, parcel JA 10052.001, consisting of 3.85 acres and rezoned from county highway business to C2 general commercial. The applicant has requested tabling on this, and we will move forward to our next item. Item C is consideration of approval of ordinance number 2021-19, adoption of the ad valorem tax rate, millage rate, for the city of Jasper at the rollback rate of 5.558. So for those present here and in the public, then we have rolled our taxes back this year to accommodate the increase that we have in the amount of money that we're valuation by all of our parcels.
Make a motion, the rollback rate be approved at 5.558.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the rollback rate of 5.558. Any further discussion by council on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. The motion carries and the tax is rolled back. Under item D, consideration and approval of resolution number 2021-10 for the supported application for the Amapola Falls Scenic Byway designation. That was a mouthful, Green. So Green, will you tell us about this in other words?
We already been warned that we can't put that on the website.
I think not.
This is a three-county effort, Dawson, Pickens, and Gilmer. It's supported by the three chambers of commerce and both economic development agencies, Gilmer and Pickens County. And the goal is simple. We want to use the state park in the falls as a center point and create 4 trailheads to it: Dawsonville, LJ, Talking Rock, and Jasper. All government entities that touches have to approve it, or we have to have them on the course as per GDOT rules. This is a GDOT program. It is fully funded and executed by GDOT. It has no cost to any local municipality or county in any way. The only thing that will be changed on the route itself will be that GDOT will pay to have signs stating scenic byway up. It will have one restriction added to it, which does not apply in Gilmer or in Gilmer or Dawsonville, because they already have a moratorium on billboards. The rule is no new billboards. Now, a billboard is someone putting up a steel structure that rents the faces of it out to other businesses. Signs are ones you own for your business. There are no restrictions on that at all, none, or anything else. All the rules that apply today on those roads are exactly the same. So the long and short of it is, so that the route is basically Dawsonville to the Falls by 2 courses, both the east and west road. 52 in from LJ, East LJ, and then 136 Burnt Mountain to Jasper, 136 to Talking Rock, and Gilmer County wants to have a loop. So they have asked for Jones Mountain Road, Yukon up, and create a loop across in front of the wineries, Maitree, Ott, and the other winery right there. I just drew a line. No, Fainting Goat's on 136. So this is the Cartacay, Cartacay. They're all right there in cluster, and that crossroad from Yukon to 52 would closely go by them or brush them in one way or another. Anyway, we're asking for support, if you would, to give this to GDOT to put our application together.
Council, at this point, I entertain a motion to approve our resolution for support of the application for the scenic byway.
Can I ask a question, Mayor, before?
Of course.
Green, do you think we'll have to modify our sign ordinance to prohibit billboards along the scenic route?
No, that that would be a GDOT rule. They will implement on their roads. Otherwise, it comes to the city limits. Basically, we're currently tentatively planning on bringing it to the stop freeway stop. They don't like urbanish aspects of it. That Gilmer County is going to have a bit of a squabble because Kent wants to take it all the way to downtown LJ, and you can't get through East LJ to get there. So that'll be a bit of a push with GDOT. But there are no other implications unless you want to modify the sign ordinance. That's fine, but I don't think they will require it.
Okay.
They haven't indicated as yet.
Okay.
Council, will entertain a motion and a second, please.
Motion to approve resolution 2021-10.
Second.
A motion and a second, and further discussion by council. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. The motion is carried.
Thank you, Green.
Thank you, Green.
Thank you.
Under item E, consideration and approval of ordinance number 2021-20 to amend the code of ordinance of the city of Jasper regarding the sale of alcoholic beverages to provide for distilleries. Brandon, if you will, and David Sidewalk, bring this to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, you may recall there have been some direction sought after by staff during the July meeting. I did not recall that, so I'm just going to own it. I did not recall. I thought we had already approved this, and Lindsay reminded me that when I asked her, what is she talking about, we've already approved it. And then I sourced back an email beginning of August, after the August 2nd meeting, where direction had only been sought after in the July work session to have the legal team compose this ordinance. So, with me owning that, Lindsay,
Thank you, Lindsay.
I just wanted to remind council that this was something that we did want to look at, and complementary to our downtown becoming more of a destination location. We do have a current successful, thriving downtown with some new businesses. I think that the entertainment district has boded well for visitors. We are wanting to amend the alcohol ordinance to allow this Similarly to the brewery, it would be restricted to our central business district, once again, to recruit to our downtown to support visitors to our shops, retail, and the eventual destination of some green space. So, I will know my place and not speak on the legalese, but just from the staff perspective, but it is in your packet for review, and Mr. Siphon can answer any questions.
I do want to clarify that our zoning ordinance allows distilleries in certain commercial districts other than the downtown area. So when I looked at the zoning ordinance to draw up the amendment to the alcoholic beverage ordinance, in order to make them consistent with one another, this amendment does allow distilleries in other commercial zone districts other than just downtown. We contemplate that probably the distillery will go downtown if one comes in, but just wanted you to be aware that this amendment, consistent with the zoning ordinance, would allow them in certain other commercial districts. It provides for certain definitions as to what is a distillery. It provides for the process for application. In this version of the ordinance, you can have a distillery that's just basically a package seller, and they can give out samples of a half an ounce up to 5 samples in one day per customer, but that is the distillery with just package sales. It also has a definition for a distillery with a cocktail room that would allow the distillery to sell by the drink for consumption on the premises. Unlike a restaurant, they would not have a food sale requirement. Depending upon whether the distillery wants to apply for a cocktail room or not, they would either apply under the package application for distilled spirits, or they'd apply for the application for distilled spirits by the drink. And there's 2 different license fees. For just a distillery, it's a $3,000 license fee. Or if you include the cocktail room, then it's a $4,000 license fee. That is either fairly close or almost the same as what's allowed for a brewery. And then we picked up, a brewery and now a distillery. So I also added a section to clarify just the various types of alcoholic beverage licenses that you can apply for in the city. And so that's my thumbnail sketch of the ordinance amendment before you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Council have any questions of our esteemed city?
Mr. Sutherland, I'm assuming what you're talking about, page 3, the compliance of section 94 in our ordinances is what you were discussing as far as central business district versus other areas allowed.
Well,
It's spelled out in chapter 94, I'm sorry, not section.
yeah, it references, it says distilleries may be operated within the city, within the central business district, or within other zoning districts as allowed by chapter 94, which is the zoning ordinance for the city.
Perfect.
Any further questions of council? entertain a motion that we approve ordinance number 2021-20 to amend the code of ordinance for the city of Jasper regarding the sale of alcoholic beverages to provide for distilleries.
So moved.
And a second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And we will move on. Item F is consideration and approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Jasper and Pickens County Board of Elections, and I think you were out on the trail of that one, David, so if you will bring that to us.
I have sent a draft to the county attorney, Phil Landrum, and he responded to me that he got it and is working on it, but he has not sent a final back to me. So we probably need to table this item until October 4th, and I'm sure he'll get it to me before then.
Mr. Mayor, council, and just, David, you may not be comfortable with it, but one of the management tools we've done before is because you all haven't approved in the January ordinance to authorize the board to conduct our elections, I just want to ask David, is it appropriate if council were to be comfortable with authorizing through this motion, you as the city attorney to essentially say that this is within the legal realms, the legal framework, since they already agreed to have Pickens do the elections, you know, from a legal perspective, I'm not qualified to say what constitutes approval or not. But would you feel comfortable if council just said, subject to your final say, the mayor could execute it?
Well, you know, from my viewpoint, I always want the elected body to actually see the contract that they want to enter into, and I appreciate, I guess, that they would be willing to consider such a motion, but I think just from a public policy viewpoint, I think it's a better course of action to have them approve the actual contract after they read it, because, you know, I'm human, sometimes the council sees things that I don't see, and we can improve on the contract. So I think technically we gotta have a written contract in hand for them to approve. I'm fine with them doing a motion tonight saying that the Board of Elections can handle the 2021 general election.
I think we did that in January.
Yeah, what I didn't want to get into is if by some chance between now and October 4th, we were not able to secure the document, I didn't want to get into a situation of November 1, the day before the elections, we got an agenda item approving when I wanted to take it back to at least the January ordinance that we did empower, and I appreciate the county attorney wanting us to formalize it with the IGA, great practice. I just want to be mindful that we are coming up on the November 2nd, and so I wanted everyone to know we had already approved the ordinance January 11th for this year, and this is more of a, I hate to say a formality, but we're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So that's the only reason I was just making sure.
Since I have the IGA, I can reach out to the county attorney and encourage finalization of the IGA prior to the October 4th meeting. And I don't see a problem in being able to achieve that, because, you know, I told him I was fine with the agreement, that I wanted to tweak a few things, and he said he's fine with the agreement. So I think we're really, really close, and it won't be a problem to have it by October 4th.
That's fine.
A little stress that causes, because you know, we do have an election, so if we get down to the end of that, we have to call an emergency session for approval, we can do so, if that becomes necessary. Okay?
I appreciate that, Mayor, but I feel comfortable that we'll have something in hand for
I
that.
have every confidence in you, okay? It's others I might not have quite that level. So at this point, I entertain a motion to table this.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? We'll table this until the 4th day of October.
Or if something comes up,
Or before.
we can react.
Sorry. Okay. Item G is consideration of an easement conveyance of private sewer pump facilities and a maintenance contract between the city of Jasper and Michael and Bobby Ray Panicki. David Hall and David Siphon. Are we ready with that?
We have a draft agreement before you that I drew up. I need to hear from our Public Works Director and also the city engineer. I do pretty good with engineering, but I'm not a formal engineer, and I always like to get the technical side confirmed for me. I also want to add a clause just doing a limitation of liability for the city. But subject to those changes, I think we can have a motion to approve this proposed private sewer pump facilities and maintenance contract, subject to approval by the Public Works, city engineer, and city attorney. And but basically what's going on here is that, and I may mess up on their name, the Ponsecchis, their house is below grade of the sewer line. And the city way back when had some involvement in allowing that situation to exist. So in order to resolve their sewer situation, the proposal is that we'll put in a grinder pump that will pump their sewage up to our main line, where then it'll be in a gravity falls situation. I think Lonnie was going out to see if maybe there was a gravity falls solution, and I never heard how that came out.
That is not going to work because the sewer, it exits the house on the opposite side, and you would still have to pump it around the house.
Okay. So, since that other gravity flow situation wouldn't work, this is trying to help out that homeowner with the situation that the city had at least some initial responsibility in the creation thereof. And so the agreement is my attempt to set out a contract that would allow us to do the grinder pump and maintain it, and basically for a 10-year period of time, and then after that we're going to convey it to the private homeowner, and the homeowner would have to maintain it thereafter. So it's a hard situation with not an absolute perfect solution, and so this proposed contract was kind of the best of what we could come up with the solution, with the situation the way it is.
Thank you, Council. At this point, I've entertained a motion that we approve this contract subject to the conditions as stated by our city attorney.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Motion and a second. Council, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mayor, discussion.
No.
It says in the agreement, and sorry to catch you off guard, it says the first year the monthly fee per household shall be set at. How many households will there be affected? Is it just the one?
Just the one.
Just the one right now that we're aware of. I have heard discussion that perhaps there could be 5 other houses. But I don't know that for sure. No.
And would this be, this says for the first year the fee would be set, so I'm assuming on an annual basis, we would need to revisit this?
Yeah, and, you know, what I don't have a feel for is what is this gonna cost us in man-hours and maintenance and,
Yeah, I have no idea where the amount came from.
Okay, so at this point, we have absolutely decided that this was caused by the city and needs to be corrected by the city. So we have guaranteed this homeowner that we would correct this situation. And at this point, that's what we're trying to do.
So, and for clarification, this was previous administration.
It absolutely.
Yes, I want that to be understood. We're trying to correct a wrong from years ago.
We correct a lot of wrongs.
Yes.
By others, excuse me, by
Yes.
You know, so if we just only did the things that we did, life would be a whole lot simpler, so.
So it brought up my next question is if another homeowner comes forward, there's another agreement in place for that homeowner also.
We will address that as it comes up.
yeah, I mean, we'll have to take them one by one, but assuming similar circumstances, then it's foreseeable that we could have a second agreement. You know, at this time, we don't know of anyone else, but it's foreseeable to me that it's possible that there could be as many as 5 more.
And Mr. Simon, if you could, Mayor and Council, and for the public, the staff's position at this current time is that if there is currently no residential structure on a lot, then it would be staff's position in the development department that that would be deemed an unbuildable lot if they're not able to achieve code. Versus perhaps in '07, there may have been a different philosophy that I'm unaware of. It's my position that at this time, this has been the only thing that has approached us as a singular issue. So if there are any others that could be substantiated of existing residential structures that during that time period would warrant inclusion in this, then yes, we would include it before y'all. However, after 30 months of here, this would be the only one that has at least elevated itself to my attention.
Thank you.
David, what's your comfort level? You see any issues?
No,
You know-
we don't have no choice. We agreed to give them school like the mayor said. So, and we can't grab it, so we have to fund it.
Okay, call the question.
So the implication is there are no other current structures on these potential other properties, is that correct?
I was just clarifying for Councilman Rathfield that there's been nothing brought to staff's attention beyond this one parcel. The other parcels that are currently being built at this time, if in fact they were to reveal that they don't have adequate flow, it has not been brought to our attention. If through our due diligence of permitting a lot in the future, the position of staff and the council should be, it could be deemed unbuildable unless the private property owner or developer or builder put those measures in place ahead of time that doesn't cost the city.
Right.
So this is a unique situation that unfortunately we don't see any way around.
Inheritance. Any further discussion by council? Excuse me for skipping that
No, you're good.
necessary step. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. carried. Item H, consideration of installing hot taps in anticipation of the Janette Drive project. We'll let our water director, David Hall, bring this to us.
Evening, Mayor and Council. The consideration installing hot taps in anticipation of Jeanette Drive project. Staff has identified the need for hot taps to allow the tap to be pressurized on the water line without interrupting the water service to our customers at Jeanette Drive. After speaking with Dwayne, with EXP, regarding the engineers of the Jeanette project, regarding the temporary bypass line at Jeanette Drive, it was decided it would be best to go ahead with the hot tap and keep from delaying the project and to get started due to contractors who perform these can be weeks out. Staff informed FEMA and they were okay with this being completed. Everything besides the hot taps was completed on the project according to the engineer.
It just doesn't say how many hot taps.
It's two.
Two.
One on the other side.
What cost?
It's in your packet. Consolidated pipe. That's materials and labor, $7,520.50. And the reason we want to go ahead and jump in and get these is to where the water line can go ahead and be done and out of the way for whenever the guys come and do the actual bridge. But the rest of the water line project will be bid out through EXP. They will bid out the rest of the water line project, pipe and the installation. But this gets the hot taps out of the way and makes it to where whenever they do the project, our thinking between me and Brandon was our temporary. I don't know how many of y'all have seen our temporary over there, but
It's temporary.
that is. So we were worried that there may be some complications with it, so we want to go ahead and get the hot taps done. I mean, because in an emergency situation now, we can tie them to those hot taps and the customer can have water back. Because we tried 2-inch lines, temporary lines, and just nothing worked. So then the people on Lemon Company Road, suffered because of that. They had pressure problems countless times, and Brandon just told us to, do a more permanent temporary, which is what's over there now. But it still has its, it could at any time go.
Thank you. Council, at this point, I'm going to take a motion to approve the installation of 2 hot taps at a cost of $7,520.50.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And that's approved. Item I is consideration of replacing the motors for well number 1 and number 3, along with other necessary maintenance issues, including but not limited to wiring, joints, and etc. Cost to not exceed $72,500, with an insurance claim filed to potentially cover half of that amount. David, tell us more.
Yeah, our wells at the Cove took a major lightning strike on one of the storms that come through. And at first we thought it was this well number 3, which it got the starter, the soft start starter, and destroyed the motor on well number 3. And then a few days later, we noticed that well number 1 was not pumping properly, so the motor eventually went out on it too. And the number 2 well stopped pumping, so we pulled it. Luckily, it was this wire. The wire was just damaged on it, but we through D. Wilson Electric, which has done most of our electrical work for the city the past few years. He's going to sign off, that it was lightning that come in and destroyed everything that happened. was one incident. It didn't all happen at one time as far as, you know, being able to see the damage, but he feels like that the damage was all caused by, you know, either one or multiple lightning strikes in the area. And he feels, you know, that most of it should be insurance covered. But just in case, because of course we can't operate without these wells, we would like, you know, to get approval to go ahead and purchase whatever needs to be purchased to get everything back operational. And that's where the not to exceed 72,500 comes from, which we feel will be reimbursed, you know, through the insurance. The
Council,
72,000.
entertain a motion at this time that we approve this for not to exceed 72,500.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Discussion, sir.
Any discussion?
Didn't
I try, guy, I try, but they do not allow us.
one of these pumps fail, or am I thinking?
Yes, we've had
Since it was,
lightning strikes over there. That's what me and John was talking about before the
well,
meeting.
not that long ago, was it?
It's been a couple of years, but yeah, I mean, it's been recent, and we're gonna try some more. John's got some ideas on some grounding and stuff that maybe we can do over there. It's just got such a big area that any lightning strike hits, it's gonna, you know, because of the enormity of where it's pulling from. And
There's a house down there in the creek, I believe the other sign says Lightning Creek. There's just a lot of lightning over there, just because all the rock, it just draws it.
But John got some ideas for us to try on, you know, doing some different grounding and stuff. We're gonna try to do that next time to try to help.
Okay.
Any further questions, council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Those are approved. Consideration of purchasing and installing new motor for the hospital lift station pump. Mr. Hall.
Yeah, and at this time, I just have the one quote from Pro Pump Solutions. What reason I'm bringing this quote to you tonight is, it being only one, is they were good enough to allow us to have this motor. They run it to us immediately because the parts and stuff were going to be 4 to 6 weeks out on getting another motor and pump for the hospital lift station. And if the others, of course, it's a dual pump station, but if the other one would have went out, then we would have been without the other pump. So they were good enough to let us, you know, bring this one and set it on our yard just in case anything were to happen to the other one. I just wanted to see if y'all wanted me to go and obtain 2 more quotes, which I can, or reach out and go ahead and buy this pump from Pro Pump.
So where we got the other ones from, was things?
We buy some from them, and some from James Electric in Gainesville. Pro Pump, like I say, they were just, you know, they were gonna work on the one that was out, and they said, you know, these parts are way out, and they actually run this loaner pump and set it out, and said, you know, if something goes wrong, at least you'll have one, you know, to back up, because I don't want, you know, we don't want that going anywhere.
Not a hospital.
For comparison, David, this is for that refurbished, what would a new pump cost?
About 36. And this, and I don't know if it states on here, but it is with a 1-year warranty,
Okay.
which would be the same as a new one.
David, is it, one time we kept a couple of pumps for different stations available on the yard. Are we still doing that?
Yeah, we try to when we can, but a lot of them come with different head. The hospital head pressure is like different than the house head pressure. So you basically got to have, yes, it would be great, you know, to buy this one and get the other one fixed, or we would have one for that lift station specifically, yes. And yes, and when it's possible, we do try the well pumps. You know, we're using one of them, and we already, you know, y'all told us to get some in backstop. We'd already used one of them, we used the other one, so no, we don't have none in backstop, but we'll address that, you know, once we can. But it's hard to with lift stations because,
I just request to keep that on the, keep our eyes on that. If we can refurbish this one, and it is of value, then I'd like to consider that.
yes, sir.
Well, I like to have a backup, especially if it's involved with a hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Council, at this point, I entertain a motion to approve the $11,500 expenditure for the refurbished motor for the hospital lift station.
So moved. Second.
A second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Both same. I think we had a discussion. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next item is a discussion of a request from downtown merchants regarding events in downtown. And we're going to ask Jeff Chalk if he would come forward. And Jeff, what kind of events are going on?
The Jasper Merchants Association would like this fall to host the trick or treat on Main Street that we've held previous years on Halloween evening. And we would also like to host the Christmas parade this year, and a bit of a festival on December 4th.
Halloween evening, what day of the week is that?
So Sunday night, trick or treat on Main Street has traditionally been held from 5 to 7, and the road has been closed, both North and South Main Street has been closed for local businesses who are on Main Street and people who are not on Main Street to come out and hand out candy to the kids in the city of Jasper.
I believe we had a holiday, was it this year or last year, Mr. Douglas, that we stayed course with the true holiday date?
Yeah, it's staff's opinion, unqualified or not, that Halloween is the 31st.
Yep.
So that would be our recommendation as well. Now, I would have to say, I'm about to set off of a firestorm of asking our current police chief, Greg Lovell, in terms of his best professional opinion on timing. Is 5 to 7, does that interfere with some of the ongoings of trick-or-treating? I know we've done 4 to 6. I don't have a preference, because candidly, I'm not trick-or-treating.
We have done 4 to 6, because then we have to convoy up to Arbor Hills and set up for that deal up there.
But 5 to 7 shouldn't cause any issues.
Not being a manpower thing, traditionally we were 4 to 6, and we'd send leftovers up there at Arbor Hills.
And the only reason I bring this up is I can't remember, apparently my newness in 2019, I think that I had said the incorrect time. And I just remember, Jeff, that there was something about the time, and I don't know if it had anything to do that it was a Friday, and this being on a Sunday, it may or may not matter. But just from a policing perspective, is 5 to 7 just kind of a rock solid for y'all, or is it just a preference?
That was the time we did last year, and when you were at the one in 2019, that was the first time I had been to the event as well.
Great.
Right.
Kurt was on the board of directors for the Jasper Merchants,
So it's all his fault.
and
Yes.
and might be able to speak on historical before 2019, I don't know.
So truly, it depends on whatever the PD and the JMA come to a conclusion on. Chief, when you're talking about Arbor Hills, you're saying that starts at 7?
Starts at 6.
6.
6 for most part. We have to set up a one-way in there, because if you don't control Arbor Hills, you've ever been to it.
Yeah.
Quite an event.
Are you opposed to 4 to 6?
No, I'm
Would that be easier for the police department to be 4 to 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one year that Brandon got some, I don't know, heat because the school didn't let out. some
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah, I mean, I screwed up in 2019, so once again, I'm gonna own it. I think I did 5 to 7, and I think,
If I recall correctly, it's a Sunday, that road's gonna be closed that day, so
Exactly.
don't worry about Stroll.
That'll actually be easier.
Yep.
Be really.
Oh, yeah.
Change about
Turn around your callback.
Oh, yeah, no.
Change?
So we're talking October the 31st,
Yes, sir.
from 4 to 6.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. And now let's talk about that Christmas parade.
Okay.
What day?
The Christmas parade traditionally has been the first Saturday after the Thanksgiving weekend. So it would be December 4th this year. We would like to have a bit of a festival beforehand with some vendors out on the street. It's being discussed having a chili cook-off, leading up into the tree lighting at 6 o'clock, and the parade immediately following the tree lighting.
And you're talking December the 4th?
December the 4th, it's a Saturday.
Okay,
We'd
okay.
like to start at about 2 p.m. Have vendors on the street and the parking lots. And then on North Main Street, the tree lighting. And then North and South Main Street and 53 closed for the parade itself.
Not for the cook-off or the vendors, the road would be open, everything.
So I was going to say, the cook-off may actually start earlier. One of the discussions we were having was the possibility of having that on Stroll Street where it can be closed off anyway, and then closing North Main Street at 2 o'clock in order to have just a bit of a Christmas festival and some vendors out. And then we usually do the reading of the Christmas story and the tree lighting at 6 o'clock with the parade immediately following. We usually start the parade up at the old shoe plant and come down Main Street and then loop around by the park at the church.
Chief, as far as parade route, GDOT permit, close 53 for a parade,
yeah.
How long will you close it for?
good for an hour?
Usually it's 2, I think. Just to cover it, we may be done sooner, but I think 2 years ago it was about 7:45. We finished up starting just after 6.
And Mr. Douglas, as far as our signature events, I do recall the Christmas parade being one of those,
Yes.
as far as the stage rental, the city is covering that.
It is my understanding we've already got it reserved. So,
Confirmation will be with.
That's what I've got.
Okay, council, at this point.
December 4th, you said?
Yeah.
Southeastern Conference Championship game.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Are we done with discussion on it?
Oh, yes, I believe we're having a discussion.
There's no further discussion by anyone on this subject.
All right.
Okay, so this, I want to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve October 31st, 4 to 6 for trick or treating, the closure of Main Street, the approval for December 4th, 2 p.m. closure of North Main Street, the parade for 6 p.m., and the stage reservation for Jasper Merchants Association.
Second.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. And any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Jeff, you got yourself a couple of events.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Discussion of a request from Reinhardt University. This has to be the Shamrock Stroll that Dale Morrissey wrote. Hi, Dale.
Hello there, Mayor. How are y'all? Thank
Doing
y'all
pretty well,
for
thank you.
having me here
here tonight.
We are having a good sized meeting tonight.
We are. A lot going on in Jasper.
And we need to do a Shamrock Stroll along with it.
We do. March 12th is the date for our 5th annual Shamrock Stroll. And that is our event that raises money for Pickens County students attending Reinhardt. And I know it's early to get an approval, but it takes a while to plan an event. So that's where we're looking. We're looking at the same setup as we did last year, North Main Street, in front of the brewery, in front of the courthouse, and we'll have games and food and just lots of fun like we've had in the past years. So we hope to get this approved.
We appreciate you not coming in March and asking us.
I have a little time to plan if I do it now.
Okay.
You still gonna have the .5 marathon?
It'll be the .5K. You walk from the nursing school down to the middle of town. And kids have a ball doing that. It's
Right.
fun.
And we don't close 53.
And old folks.
It'll stop at right there at 53. We'll just close the north part of town.
Right.
We've grown. We started in the green space. We moved
I know.
to South Main. Now we're on North Main. We'll soon take over the whole town now.
Council, at this point, I entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the Shamrock
Shamrock
Stroll
Stroll.
for March 12th.
We have a second, and we have a second. Any further discussion?
Motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Dale, you have yourself a Shamrock Stroll.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you on March 12th.
We will be there.
All right.
hopefully. Discussion of request to partner with Waddle On in the rescue and City of Jasper. Julie Wooten and Lonnie Waters. Ms. Wooten, if you will, please.
Okay, Mayor and Council, as everyone's aware, over at the duck pond,
We have
we have had issues for years about ducks getting injured, getting fishing cords tangled up in them, and all kinds of issues, especially the domesticated ducks. So we had a case a couple weeks ago, and someone contacted Julie and her organization, and she came down and had her canoe and got out in there and caught the ducks and took them to a veterinarian and had them treated. And so she's here wanting to work in partnership with the city as she does other cities, and she will help maintain the health of the domesticated ducks or capture them. This will not eliminate ducks at the pond. The wild geese and the wild ducks will still come and go as they do now, so that the people that enjoy the fowl that lasts on the duck pond will still be able to do this. So as an animal control person for the city of Jasper, I am begging you, let's work with Julie and see if we have saw her in operation. She does a great job. If you have any questions or she has anything to say.
Julie do ground alarms too?
No. So my name is Julie Woodman and I own Wild Lawn and Rescue up in Fannin County. Jenny even says to tell you hi, by the way, since I was going to see you tonight. So what I do is I go in for dumped domestic ducks. A domestic duck is a pet primarily sold by TSC, sold by online hatcheries, where these ducks are food dependent on humans. They cannot survive on their own. I got called into Murphy, is a prime example, a month ago. 4 ducks were dumped because TSC had told the people it's okay to put them out as soon as they're old enough. Overnight, the next day I got called from a woman who was hysterical. 2 ducks were alive. 1 duck had been killed instantly. The 3rd duck had been attacked by a predator, had its intestines literally dragging behind it. It's the first and only duck I've ever had euthanized on site. Any ducks that I come in, they're dumped, and when I got permission from him to go out to the park, over fishing line around the little fawn and white runner, Ryan Ledbetter went out with me, and I was grateful for it because I gave him a little bit of an education on this is what a dump duck is, this is what a wild mallard is. I don't touch the wild mallards, I won't touch the Canadians unless there's an injury. But with Ryan out there after we caught the duck, it took about 35 minutes. I had him field the duck, is the way I do an assessment on the duck. and he felt the keel bone, and he felt there was no muscle whatsoever on either side of the keel bone. He then went with me. The vet I use for my rescue is Dr. Chester here at Jasper. He's my number one. If it's something minor, since I'm in Fannin County, I'll have Doc Mitchell look. But if Dr. Chester is not in and I have an emergency, we go to UGA. There's no expense spared with treating these ducks. I've got a duck with a prosthetic beak. I've got 2 ducks with prosthetic legs, just to give an idea on how above and beyond we go. What I'm asking is permission to work with you guys to get your domestic ducks off of your city park. Me doing it, you have 0 liability when it comes to me. You have 0 financial. I vet them all. We've spent $13,000 so far this year in vetting domestic ducks that have been dumped or severe cases. I take in the dump, severe medical, the ones that everybody else says they're not going to make it. Those are the ones that I take in. Any questions? I'm free to answer.
It sounds like what you have is something that we really need. And we are appreciative of you coming forward and offering to do this. So, council?
Mayor, one thing that I have talked to her about, and she has agreed totally, is the city would put up a sign on each side of the pond with her name, her phone number, email address, and people, when they have a problem, they can call or email her, and she will come down as quick as she's able or free to correct the problem.
Well, as an example to give you guys, earlier this year, I got called 3 ducks that were dumped that were only 2 weeks old along the fence line at the park. We immediately got them. They were sick. We got them better. They went into I adopt out to pet safe homes. There's certain requirements like you do with any other rescue. Literally the next day, we've got a TSC box that was found in where you drive at that back area, back by the tennis court. TSC box, 2 baby ducklings, literally just from TSC, left in that box. I've taken 27 injured ducks off of your city park this year alone. Normally, the way that I work with cities, I always go in and get permission. When it's the injuries, the way they were, I took one off that had an arrow in its head. I'm not sure how many of you were even aware of that one. But when I'm called on an emergency, I go in right then. Otherwise, what I do it with Woodstock, I do it with Canton, we just did it with the pre-park. I always give notice. This is the day that we're looking at coming. This is the time we're going to be there. I let your animal control know, and I also let the police department know, just in case somebody calls to say we've got an issue going on over here. So that's the kind of the way that I operate with things. I've got a team of volunteers. I've got a vet that is available 24/7. I always have a vet tech with me in case there's an injury that I need second pair of hands in order to deal with.
Perfect. Council, any questions?
Ms. Julie, with the signage that Lonnie was discussing, it's been brought up before, maybe some educational pieces, educational signage on what that fowl can and cannot eat, what you can and cannot expect of it. If you would just advise Lonnie on how we can better serve our community by educating them at that park. It's a tricky situation, so thank you to Flynn Fields, Judy Moody, Dr. Chester, you, Lonnie, everyone else that's been involved. I cannot tell you the amount of calls, text messages, pictures, and quite frankly, horrific scenes. So thank you for being willing to partner with us.
Council, at this point, I would entertain a motion to partner with Mr. Wooten.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you so much. I have a discussion of weather-related event impacts. Brandon, if you would have anything there that's new.
Nothing further to add, Mayor, than what Janette Driver kind of updated.
Okay.
I have one question. Jail White, is there any update on the timing of that?
For the good of the order, I can say that Mr. Seifman has delivered the executed contracts, so we will put those out to the contractor. That will trigger the pre-construction meeting, similarly to what we had recently with the code. I think the contractor was gonna seek permission from, our engineer to go ahead and try to do some preliminary work prior to the full on. We will need to try to secure, separately to pave that section that's remained, unfinished. So we're closer as of today with the executed documents. I don't know if that's gonna completely solve the issue with receipt of pipe, which even our contractors for the cove acknowledged, we do not have that just yet, and he had ordered it prior to even receiving approval from us. So that's kind of the, maybe a little hiccup.
I spent a little time over there, they're constantly approaching me about it, that's good update, thank you, Brandon.
Traffic calming measures we put in place over there.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to enter into executive session.
Mayor, before we have a vote, I didn't know when you were going to do the announcement on the change in the polling place location, but I thought it might be good to do it prior to the executive session, since it may go a little long and we may lose our crowd. I had sent you some correspondence on it, and I know you get a lot of correspondence, and I'll be glad to handle that announcement if that would help you. But I thought it'd be good to do it prior to the executive session while we still have people here to hear it.
Okay, I'll let you bring that to us then, Mr.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to do a public service announcement that for the Jasper Municipal City election to be held on November 2nd, 2021, that the prior elections were always held here at City Hall, and this year the Board of Elections, in order to provide a safer environment for the polling place, has voted to move the polling place location to 55 Dixie Street, Suite C, of course in Jasper, which is next to the Jasper Police Department. And again, Election Day is November 2nd of 2021, and the polls will be open on that Election Day from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. The city is also going to put up notification signs here at City Hall so that if someone mistakenly shows up on November 2nd here at City Hall to vote, you'll be directed to the municipal courtroom, which again is at 55 Dixie Street, Suite C, here in Jasper, which is right next to the Jasper Police Department. And we'll be doing this public service announcement at the October meeting and also the November meeting. But we wanted to start getting word out there so that people would know the right place to go to vote.
So we recently moved our municipal court. We remodeled that area where you will be voting, and that's also our municipal court location. And it turns out that it's much better handicap accessible for those who need that than what this building is. And that was one of our main reasons to move that, was to allow for our citizens to have a better place to vote.
Plenty of parking too.
I'm sorry?
Plenty of parking too.
Oh yeah, good parking. All right, so at this point, we're going to, I'm going to entertain a motion to move into executive session, and at that point, we will ask. Now, for those of you who want to stay, you're welcome to stay out and come back in. As I will reiterate to you again, it's going to be a little later.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Hold on just one second. Amber, did you need?
No.
Okay.
I was listening, but thank you for asking.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand in executive session. Motion to come out of executive session,
Yes, sir.
second?
Second.
We're out.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
No.
All
this
the
point,
committee reports.
At this time.
Y'all bring them at your convenience.
Council, you have in front of you the committee reports that have been mailed and read, I'm certain, by all of you. I entertain a motion at this time that we approve the committee reports as mailed.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Carried. Now, I entertain a motion to.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor? We adjourn.